is a new year, which means there's going to be new faces running many states, including New York. When it comes to former Governor Andrew Cuomo, the verdict is in, and basically there's not going to be any verdict. He's not going to be charged in the nursing home scandal and the misreporting of the actual numbers behind how many people died in those nursing homes.
And that's a shame.
It's a shame, and he lied for a long time. And Manhattan has got a new woke district attorney. Joining us now for more on all this is New York attorney Michael Henry. Michael, good morning. So nice to have you on.
Thanks for having me on, Rob.
It's our pleasure. I want to start off by looking back to a little bit earlier this fall when Kathy Hochul introduced the parole reform law. Take a listen.
What we're going to do is bolster due process and have speedier hearings. So what we're going to allow for is earned time credit for people who did not violate the conditions of their parole, shifting from a punitive model that locked up people to an incentive-based model to help New Yorkers who re-enter their communities. It also saves money, and that is why there's a lot of support from unlikely sources throughout the state of New York. It is saving money because these people do not need to be incarcerated to protect society. And the states that have done this have seen their recidivism rates drop significantly.
Which is factually untrue, by the way,
Absolutely.
with regard to the recidivism rates. But basically, she's going to save money. People don't care about that when they're being held up and they're being robbed at gunpoint. It doesn't matter if you've saved a couple of dollars in taxes. What do you make of this in this new district attorney, Alvin Bragg, in Manhattan, who's basically going to do the same thing?
Well, the ironic part here is Eric Adams was elected mayor with this pro-law enforcement mandate, and now you have a district attorney who apparently doesn't want to charge anyone with a crime unless it's murder. Some of the crimes that he's going to be classifying as misdemeanors are not only troubling, but the fact that he says that his office is no longer going to go for life without parole sentences, or basically not seek sentences more than 20 years, even for violent crimes, is going to just keep this trend going of this criminal rights over victims' rights mentality, the fact that we have people in New York now that have no sense of what's right and wrong. And I think it's basically going to encourage criminals to just keep doing what they're doing, because even if they get arrested, they're being let out of jail within a couple hours.
Yeah, let's make it really clear that in the last year, crime in every single category is up in New York City. Everyone watching who's thinking about coming here for a vacation with your families, be aware crime is a big problem. And Alvin Bragg, he has nothing to brag about. This new district attorney is going to make it worse. As you pointed out, he is going to let people who are arrested for violent crimes out with no bail requirement. And then if they're convicted, even of very serious crimes, stealing a car, carrying a gun, a loaded gun, all kinds of things, no jail time at all.
They'll be right back out in the streets.
That's right.
Yeah.
They'll be right back out on the streets. What do you expect is going to happen? Look at Los Angeles. Look at San Francisco. Your thoughts?
He's as left-wing as any of these district attorneys or mayors. And it's troubling because the media did not cover who he really was when he was running for office and who he's being backed by. And this mentality of like I said, criminal rights over victims' rights is only going to make things worse, because people are so brazenly committing crimes because they know they're not going to be in trouble. I mean, this is affecting small businesses, for example, where people know they could go in, rob everything off the shelves, stick someone up, and not go to jail. Alvin Bragg has gone so far as to say that if somebody robs a store at gunpoint or robs someone at gunpoint, if they don't commit any physical harm to them, that it's going to be a misdemeanor. So basically, you could stick a gun in someone's face, but if you don't pull the trigger, don't worry about it. It's a misdemeanor.
It's unbelievable.
And we have no leadership.
The fact that would fall into the misdemeanor prong, by the way, too.
Right. We have no leadership from the top either. We have an attorney general in New York State, Letitia James. She ran for her office 4 years ago on one promise: to get Trump. And for 4 years, she has devoted literally her office's entire resources to trying to accuse Trump of misstating the value of his assets to get
president,
bank
she spent
loans.
the last, who's been out of office for 12 months.
Where is her leadership on bail, on cracking down on criminals, on influencing people like Alvin Bragg? The fact is, she should be stating from the top of the state, the highest law enforcement office, that she wants law and order, and you don't hear a word out of her about it.
Well, because I call her the attorney grandstander. She does state her positions on crime. She's the chief law enforcement officer of a state who thinks her job is to sue law enforcement instead of working with them. She enthusiastically supports bail reform. She supports parole reform. She wants to introduce legislation that's going to make it nearly impossible for a police officer to make arrests. And as the son of a police officer, I would say you do not want law enforcement and first responders tasked with making split-second life or death decisions to start overthinking in times of crisis because they're worried about a politician suing them. She did run not only on suing former President Trump, she sues Republican states. She sues Republican groups. She sues the NRA and every Second Amendment group possible. And what she does is she sues in cases where she lacks standing. She sues in cases that she probably knows are going nowhere because she thinks apparently that she's Merrick Garland instead of the
I was stunned. I thought she was
was
going to run for governor.
she intended to. That's why she went after Cuomo.
Yeah, she wasn't polling very well. But just about 10 seconds left. We're really tight on time. The police union chief in Manhattan said that what this new district attorney Alvin Bragg has done is give criminals a roadmap to freedom from prosecution. Might seem like an obvious question, but the criminals are well aware of this as well, correct?
Absolutely. They know this. They're laughing if you talk to anybody who's an ADA, the district attorney's offices are losing all their good people because they can't even try a case anymore. People are coming in, they're cutting deals, and then the judges are so restrained that people are like basically being let out and laughing at the ADAs on the way out.
It's a joke. Michael Henry, come back and see us. Thanks so much for your expertise. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right.